Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor as we preview the best of the action from Newbury on Saturday with all races live on Sky Sports Racing. And also live on Sky Sports Racing is the Preakness, the second leg of the Triple Crown stateside. So I will be previewing that from Pimlico. Being joined back in the studio by Declan Ricks and Sam Boswell. Dec, great to have you back.
Yeah, thank you very much. Had to go see a man about a dog last week. So thanks to Dave for stepping in last minute. Hopefully he had enough time to prepare. So thank you very much, Dave Orton.
He definitely enjoyed it. I think it's fair to say he had a great time.
Dave's a good egg. He's got some. Yeah. His enthusiasm is pretty infectious. So and he's a punter as well, which always helps.
Yeah, trying to sort of.
I'm assuming he didn't have a winner though, because I would have heard about it by now.
To be honest, it feels like a long time ago now. I can barely remember what he said, but he was trying to muscle in though, trying to take your spot on a few occasions. So don't be too nice about him.
Okay.
But Sam, great to be reunited.
Yes, it's nice to be back as a trio and a massive weekend of sport and a massive weekend of racing as well. Plenty to get stuck into today.
Lockinge weekend, you know what that is? We have to give a nod to Hawkwing, don't we?
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Landing.
Welcome back.
See, I could miss last weekend. I definitely wasn't missing this weekend.
No, exactly. We've had on all of the features and the VTs, I feel like I've been teeing up loads this week on Sky Sports Racing. Hawkwing has featured a heck of an amount on it.
Still the best horse Aidan O'Brien's ever trained.
There you go. Right, we'll see if Hawkwing's mighty effort in the Lockinge is surpassed this year, but we will get on to the Group 1 contest in due course because, of course, we have so much more action from Newbury to go at before then. But, of course, before we get stuck into the action, a reminder, as ever, to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction. Right, we're going to begin with the 12.50, I should say. The Sky Sports Racing Aston Park Stakes. Well, Aston Villa Park Stakes. We're trying to crowbar as many different terms.
Kate, are they in the FA Cup final this weekend?
Oh, he's gone there again. He's gone there again.
Sorry, that's my plans for the weekend.
We're just vying for Champions League football, but you know. King's Gambit, there you go, saves the day at 5-2, heading the way for this Group 3 contest. Al-Azi won this 4 years ago now, before some of these horses were even born, is back in here at the age of 8 at 4-1, but King's Gambit, the market leader, Deck.
Yeah, just the 8 runners to go here, and I don't see an awful lot of pace on paper unless Il Cordobes goes forward like he did last time out at Newmarket. But I think originally the plan that day was to maybe drop him in, and he was a little bit gassy and a little bit keen. So if he doesn't go forward, it could be quite tactical. You know, I don't think that would suit Sunway, a horse who actually ran in the St. Ledger last year. I don't think it'll suit Table Talk either, who obviously won a Melrose last season. And the Courage Manomi, as we know, is a proper stayer as well. And I just thought potentially it could suit a horse stepping up in trip for the first time on turf, the 12 furlongs, and that's Aidan, who I think is a big price at 16-1. Now, we shouldn't forget, I think it was 2022, he finished 4th in the 2000 Guineas behind Caribus, Native Trail, Luxembourg. He's obviously a classy horse. Didn't have the clearest of run after that. Basically had 2 seasons off the track, and since he's come back I think he's only run 5 times, and 3 of those have been on the all-weather and 1 has been on soft ground, and I just don't think the all-weather surface suits him. Now this is him on the far side here in the winey red colours, and being beaten by the grey horse of Jane Chapel-Hyams. I just don't think the all-weather surface has ever suited him. If you go back and look earlier on in his career, he was actually beaten at odds-on in I think a novice event at Newcastle. And you know, you look at the size of him there. He's such a big horse, and he's a lovely mover. I think what he wants is a flat track. I think he wants fast ground, and he's going to get that at Newbury on Saturday. Now, if you take out the 3 all-weather runs and the 1 run on soft ground, he did run behind Persica in the Doonside Cup up at Ayr last year, and that form definitely gives him a chance, and I think he will stay. We'll need a little bit of luck because he's had a bit of a stop-start career, but if he's in good order and 8 horses run here, I could see him going off a lot shorter than 16s and maybe causing a small little bit of a shock.
16-1, yeah, he's a big price, isn't he? And considering when we go back to the start of his career and you say about that 2000 Guineas run, I remember all the debate, is it Aidan or is it Eden?
Yeah.
How do we pronounce it? Because we all thought he was going to go on to be such a smart horse, so we wanted to get the pronunciation right. And it just hasn't quite happened for him, has it? Because of those stop-starts that he's had throughout his career. But 16-1 now, so that carrot is being dangled for Declan.
Yeah, interesting race, isn't it? I think you go back, Halazi just seems to turn up at these kind of Newbury contests, doesn't he? These kind of trips and win. Courage Mon Ami, fantastic to see that horse back after a
I
massive
always associate him with you.
He's a little bit of a favourite.
We're still dining on that.
I'll dine out on that.
We're going
forever,
back
Kate.
2 years,
yeah.
love it.
It's bad that we have to do that, but 630 odd days off the track, he won't be a bet for me in this. I just look to see, hopefully he returns well. But I still really am a big fan of the favourite, King's Gambit, who 5-2 skinny enough, isn't he, I suppose? And Harry Charlton's form has just got a little bit quieter than I'd like to have seen after a purple patch. But he's obviously won the London Gold Cup here going back 12 months ago. And I think we all kind of probably had expectant hopes that he'd kick on from that. And he then went to York on a couple of occasions and rattled the crossbar. It was second at Ascot, wasn't he, in that disastrous run from... William Buick gives so few horses a bad ride, and that's the only one I can ever really think of.
That's the fact that it springs up in your mind as being...
It's such testament to how good a jockey he is.
It's funny you say that, because me and Dave Orton have had this discussion numerous times, and he's of the same opinion as you. I've always thought he can sometimes be a little bit slow from the gates and slow into stride, and I think he put himself and Bill Buick into a bit of a bad position. So, I'm going to defend the jockey.
In his defence.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how he gets on here. He's got the blinkers on, and I am really convinced that he's got a big season in him. Ryan booked to ride as always. A massive positive here. And you go back through the list of runners that have won this, tends to go to a younger horse. The 4-year-olds have got a good record in here, be against Halazi, who does go well this time of year. But I can't really get away from King's Gambit. And whilst Harry Charlton's yard's been a little bit quiet the last week or so, this is a meeting they obviously have done well at in the past. And we'll come on to the London Gold Cup, where his team have got an interesting runner as well. But King's Gambit, for me, I'm prepared to go in once more. And you go back through some of the horses that he's been beaten by or finished in and around, like Illinois up at York and things like that, Los Angeles, that race. There's so much substance, I think, to his back form that he really should be taking a race of this nature at some point this season. And why wouldn't it be at Newbury?
5-2 then, King's Gambit. I just can't believe you're abandoning Courage Mon Ami. But it's a strange race, really, because I say about the carrot being dangled for Deck with Aiden/Eden, but Courage Mon Ami at 16-1, given that he probably is the classiest horse in the race, what could he go off at? If all of a sudden there's support that comes from him, do you think he's going to short?
I don't think viewers should touch him, because Arab Halvin was interviewed in Sky Sports Racing during the week, and he, reading between the lines, he made it abundantly clear they're getting him ready for Ascot. So.
Okay, there you go. Nice bit of insight pays to listen to those involved.
Yeah, you should watch Sky Sports Racing. Really good racing.
There you go. Further encouragement. I think I've got 3 shout-outs already. We're only into the first race. Yeah, Courage Mon Ami, I didn't know what price he would end up going off at, so probably will say at about a double-figure price.
I'd be shocked if he shortens. Table Talk was the one I thought, what are we, 6s? I just did wonder if there was a little bit more juice in the price. But yeah, I'm still firmly on King's Gambit. So about you, Kate?
I wonder about King's Gambit. The first time headgear, the first time gelding operation as well. Like I say, he was so impressive on this day last year. But I just wonder, and my friend and colleague Andrew Mount has also told me that horses who are still an entire have a very good record in this race. So he has timed his gelding operation horribly for this race, King's Gambit. So he really pointed me in that direction first and foremost. And the horse that I was wanting to come down on the side of anyway, also helps that he's still an entire, is Someway at 4-1 here, co-second favourite along with Halazi as well. Now, of course, he was facing some really stiff tasks last year. You talk about Table Talk, of course, he ran in the Finest Surprise Stakes last time out over this course and distance as well. But last year, he faced Group 1 contests in his last 5 starts of last year. And for all he went winless in 2024, as I say, they were tough asks all the same. So reappearance in this contest last time out, down in grade into the Group 3 Finest Surprise Stakes over this course and distance. And he just looked like he needed the run. Just at this point, he starts to tie up. So this was his first start since October. And on official figures, he ran £10 below his best of 2024 as well. And he really just does deserve to get his head back in front again in another Group 3, which we know that he is more than capable of winning. So Someway, I'm willing to give another chance at 4-1.
Before we wrap up, do you know what's interesting about that as well? Someway, isn't he part owned by Qatar Racing?
Ooh.
And Oisin Murphy is riding Aiden.
Oh, yes, that's not good. That's not good. You can keep those thoughts to yourself.
That's a lovely stick of dynamite you've just lobbed at Kate there, Declan.
You can absolutely keep those thoughts to yourself as another interesting insight. No, it was not. Yeah, some way.
I actually had it in my notes and I forgot to mention it, so you remind me.
I wish I had not bothered now. So, yeah, best of luck on my jockey bookings. We know it doesn't mean all that much.
And the other thing we forgot to
nowadays.
mention, Lassie got a penalty.
Yes, of course he does, doesn't he? Yeah, because of all of his wins there. The 8-year-old and who's become quite a consistent horse of late as well, Alazi, which I never thought I would end up saying. But 4-1, though, wish them all the best. But loads of different plays and in the Aston Villa Park Group 3 contest. Right, we're going to move on to the 125 now. The listed Canavan Stakes for the 3-year-olds over 6 furlongs. Now, Ides of March, the favourite for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore at 13-8, Sam.
Yeah. How short is Ides of March going to be? 13-8. I don't know. The more I look to this race, and I had plenty of respect for the favourite, and you can see why he's been installed at that price, but I just kept going round and round the houses, and I tried to sort of find a reason that I didn't like him, and I struggled beyond the price, but I thought Hold a Dream was quite interesting at a double-digit price for Clive Cox, who I always seem to manage to find occasionally a winner at Newbury at a decent price, and this horse is open to any amount of improvement, I thought, and the profile for me is just really intriguing. This is the Yarmouth win, which came on very quick ground, which is what I'm expecting we'll get at Newbury. Deck, just very quick note on the ground. You are a resident weatherman.
Yes, the go and stick reading, I think, is 0.4 higher than their last meeting, so it definitely should be quicker than the 2-day meeting they had in April.
Excellent. The form from this race worked out quite nicely. The second has gone on and won since in a decent contest. And you kind of look through, this was the third start to life in her career. And I just kind of felt like she's been rattling the crossbar with 2 seconds prior to this and then reappeared at Chelmsford and was a fair second, only beat, I think, a neck. So I kind of went through it. She needs to step forward again, I think it's fair to say. But at that price, I just can't get excited enough at 13-8 about that favourite. I just thought potentially there's got to be an improver in here, and I thought Hold a Dream was interesting, the filly there at 12s.
Yeah, 12-1. We've got
it's an each-way play.
3 horses at 12-1 there as well. Yeah, it's very just a bit of a mix, isn't it, really, behind those? And that's actually the way I saw this race in terms of the form on offer in this race as well. I just thought behind Ides of March, it's just very much of a muchness, without being too disrespectful there by saying so. But I actually thought Ides of March is probably fair at 13-8 here for the lethal potent combination, apart from Lion and Winter, of course, then in the Dante in midweek. But apart from that, they've been sweeping up absolutely everything. So in those two, we trust. Now, we're going to look back at him at Del Mar when he finished 7th on the 1st of November. Now, this was his last start of last season, so his final 2-year-old outing in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf over 5 furlongs, which is a really fair effort, despite only finishing 7th. But he was beaten just 4 lengths after getting away slowly, ending up in rear, and then he had to come wide around the field with his challenge. So this was just a stiff task for him, given the way that the race transpired. And for all on the face of it, he's finished 7th. As I say, he's been beaten no sort of distance whatsoever. Now, he certainly sets the standard in forms of official rating, what he's achieved so far, and even in this contest here, what he actually showed in terms of ability. But he returned with a career best last time out on his reappearance, and 3-year-old Davy, second in a listed race at Navan over 6, and he was second to none other than Whistlejacket, who just came there late, didn't he, and to beat him by half a length then. So only being caught on that stiff finish there late on. So for all that his pedigree suggests he's got more stamina and he should be getting further than 6 furlongs, he's clearly got plenty of speed, and as a result of that last time out, I can see why they're keeping him to the 6 furlongs as well. So Ides of March for me. And Sam, just to reiterate, Hold a Dream for you at 12?
Yeah, Hold a Dream. I'm going to take an each-way chance. I just felt Ides was a little bit short. And I must say, I think Ryan's rides are all going to end up quite short looking at the card. I think the multiples will be at play. He's obviously hit the headlines by just winning everything, it feels like, apart from the Dante trial. Apart from the key one this week. But yeah, he's had a good time of things. And I think you might see if he gets beat on the first horse he rides, his rides might just go out a couple of points.
Bit tricky for you, this race?
Yeah, it is, but because we wanted to, there's a good listed race in the card for fillies later that we wanted to touch on, and I was happy to look at that. I just quickly, I know I said I'd sit this one out, but Defence Minister's a horse that I loved when he won at Newmarket last year. Had no right to win from an awful position. he looked like a potential pattern class performer on that, but he's been very unlucky with the ground. It's just kept raining wherever he's gone. He's finally going to get his ground on Saturday, so watch the market for him.
Absolutely no rain. So there you go. Nice little added point bonus then for us as well. Again, do let us know in the comments section below who you fancy and whilst you're there. Also hit subscribe and also hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode of Weekend Winners. Right, on to the 2 o'clock now, the London Gold Cup Handicap. A heritage handicap for the 3-year-olds over 10 furlongs. Another Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore favourite here. Now, of course, the pair teamed up to win this 2 years ago. Sam, are you keen for them to go in again?
Yeah, I am. I actually got to give him the trophy as well because we sponsored that race back in the day. It was Bertinelli who then went on and changed his name in Hong Kong, but I can't remember what they changed his name to. He unfortunately didn't go on to greatness. That's the sad thing because I was kind of hopeful he might end up turning into a very good horse, but there we go. But Genealogy is going to aim to follow in the footsteps. That was the first time they'd run a horse in the race, I think, Connections for a long time. And then they followed it up the following year with a third King's Gambit last year. So Genealogy at 3-1. Yeah, look, I don't think it takes anything too clever to pick out the argument for this horse. I think he's a really nice potential contender, and I think, you know, the winner on his second start, I like that. The Punchestown race actually looks fair enough. Storm Peace has gone and won since the horse that finished second, and you know, he finished 5th to what is now the Derby favourite on his penultimate start, and I appreciate. I'm not necessarily sure he's a rock-solid Derby favourite, but I think that is strong enough form to suggest that he could well be quite nicely sort of positioned when it comes to his mark here, and he's very unexposed, isn't he? Arrives here fresh, which I suppose with Aidan, some of them you've wanted to see them have a run, but I'd say now we're getting into this part of the season, I'm not as worried. Do you think that's fair to say, Dec?
Yeah, exactly. But I suppose the key thing with him is three runs, first time in a handicap, like a lot of these here, he's and that form behind Delacroix, yeah, he's I could definitely see it.
Yeah, so 3-1, Kate. I know it's not the most original pick, but I did fancy him to give Connections another win in this race.
Yeah, and it is such a competitive contest as well, as it always is here. But kind of siding with Connections, though, who have good records in this race is always a positive way to go, isn't it? Like, say, Aidan O'Brien with a positive record in this race. For Charlton's as well, with Wave Rider in here at 6-1, who's got a solid record in this race. So naturally, you're going to be drawn to him. However, Tracey's Trends is back again, and it's landed me on 2 horses here. I know that we've only got the 10 runners, but it's landed me on 2. Now, we're going to look back at the last 6 winners of this race in terms of their official rating, the runs that they had already that season coming into the race, and also how they fared last time out. So naturally, because it's such a competitive, condensed heritage handicap, the official rating should be pretty tight, but ideally, I'm willing to take out the 84 official rating there as an outlier, as well as the 99. So basically around a rating of 90 is where you really want to be siding with. Also, a horse that has had 1 start so far this season. I know it feels like a bit of a given the time of year that we've got here. But the other key part that I really wanted to focus in on was how they fared last time out. Obviously finishing second in whatever type of a race, novice, conditions, maiden, handicap, whichever, is the way to go. But if failing that, then a place effort is also very, very key. So the 2 horses that, well, the horse that it landed me on first and foremost that I've tried to resist is the outsider of the entire field. Now, that was Law of Design. He's rated 89, so he is banging there in terms of his official rating. 1 start so far this season. He has a good draw as well, which we've not focused in on here, but it's another, obviously, key aspect to it. His running style should suit. Clearly, the biggest concern for him and where he falls down on was last time out. Now, he finished last of 8 last time out in the listed field and stakes at Newmarket, so plenty to prove. However, he is still the horse who's ticking most boxes, and if I practice what I preach, I've got to sit with him. But the other one is going to be Sadad here as well. Now, he's the horse who ticked the 2nd most boxes in this race, and again, I have to keep him on side, especially with that second that he had last time out. So Sadad is going to be the main play for me, but at least I've mentioned the outsider of the field of Law of Design. But Sadad for you as well, Dec, I believe.
Yeah, we're singing from the same hymn sheet this week. Yeah, I'm with him as well. Really likeable horse. He's only had 3 runs, first time in a handicap. He's been given a fair mark of 95, I think. And his dam Talmada was actually rated 110 at her peak. And his half brother, is it Al Makwan, is also with Ed Walker. He's rated 116. So I think on pedigree, 95 definitely looks workable. Now you can see him there. He's a little bit of a butty horse, carries plenty of condition, is quite strong, and I suspect he'll take a nice step forward for this run. I know we've only got 10 runners here, but he's the only horse in this race to run at Newbury. So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that, but he's come to the track and he's run well here. So yeah, I think he'll go well. He's bred to do the job, and I think Roger Varian won this with Defoe, didn't he? Was it 2017?
Yes. He just missed off my Tracy's Trends graphic there. We just cut him out.
So I'm hoping the Yard can score again.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Very good pun.
Yeah,
very good Defoe.
FA Cup final weekend, yeah.
Oh yeah, not that you're involved in it either. You've got a Europa League final.
We've got a Europa League final. Yeah, we're off to Bilbao.
You can't both lose, can you? I don't know.
Oh, it's,
maybe
it's Man United and Crystal Palace. We definitely can.
With the pair of those. Hopefully Sadat won't follow suit, though, and win at 6-1.
I should just say as well, we mentioned during the Guineas week about the horse to follow piece I did on attheraces.com, and flight was given us to us by Ollie Sanctuary, who ran a belter in the 1,000 Guineas. A guy called Ollie Ricks, no relation. I got in contact with him on Twitter and asked him for a horse to follow from the Varian Yard, and he gave us Sadat.
Oh, interesting. There you go.
So go on to attheraces.com and you can read what Ollie said about him.
Namesake, and also then brothers in arms in terms of your selection as well. Sadat at 6-1. Genealogy for Sam heading the way, and also I'm with the outsider of the field. Again, do let us know in the comment section below who you fancy as we move on to the big one of the weekend. It comes up at 2:35, the Group 1 Lockinge Stakes for the 4-year-olds and over a mile. So, of course, the feature race of the weekend, and what a belting renewal we have of this race deck.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. These horses looking to follow in the footsteps of Hawkwing and Frankel. But I think it's probably fair to say maybe the 2 key horses here would probably be Rosalie, a notable speech on form. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they've done physically over the winter, because they haven't run in a little while, and they're both really strong travellers. It's going to be their first run of the season. And look, I know he was a 2-year-old having his first run as a 3-year-old, but we saw what can happen with a horse having its first start in a long time with the line in winter yesterday. You can be fresh and you can be gassy. And before we even come into that, that's the type of characteristics I think Rosalian and especially Notable Speech have. They really do travel strongly in their races. So, you know, if they're a little bit fresh, I'm hoping we might have a little bit of a renewal like we had last year, where horses on the front end got loose on the lead, and remember Charon couldn't close audience down late, because I think Sean Levy will be taking Rosalian back to get him settled. I think William Buick definitely will with Notable Speech, and you know, those are 2 horses I think will be very comfortable over 7 and even over 6 if they really wanted to, but I'm sure they'll be sticking to a mile. But I'm hoping for a similar scenario to last year's race, and that's led me on to Lead Artist. 22-1 is a big price because he's had a run. Those 2 horses that we've just mentioned haven't. The Goslings have won 2 of the last 10 renewals of the Lockinge, and you should look at this guy's pedigree. He's by Dubawi. He's out of a mare called Obligate, who comes from an absolutely incredible Judmont family. The likes of Banks Hill are in there, Cacique, Champs-Élysées, Dancilli. He is going to be better this year, and I really, really hope Newbury don't put on any water overnight, because I think the better the ground, the better his chance. Now, that was over 7 furlongs behind Kinross last season. That's not his trip. I think he's probably a mile or 10 furlong horse, so I'm hoping Oisin Murphy, who takes the ride, will make plenty of use on him. Go out there and do your best Hawkwing impression, and a high tempo race on the front end where he can get loose in the lead with a couple, with the market leaders being taken back, and he might just steal it. Now, don't get me wrong, he is not as good as Rosalian or Notable Speech, but he's had a run, and I'm just hoping you kind of can grind them into submission on the day. It's worth a swing at 22-1. I can easily see him running into the places, so I'll back him each way. if things go according to plan, he might steal a lot.
22-1, yeah, and like you say, we've seen this race being stolen beforehand from a horse coming back, well, going up in trip actually, and still managing to see it out in good style. So lead odds at 22-1 for Declan.
Yeah, biggest price out there at the village at time of recording,
Yes,
I think. So
yeah.
we'll give BetVictor a plug there. Come on, keep them coming. I'm going to just not necessarily take issue with you, Dec, but Rosalian first time out. His record's fresh would suggest that he can go well fresh. I don't know if that's going to put me off the favourite at, what are we, 7-4?
No, absolutely. Look, he's just that kind of keen going horse anyway. He's really exuberant. You know, I wouldn't say he's mad, mental keen. I think Notable Speech is probably touching on that kind of ballpark. But look, it's his first run, having contracted pneumonia last year, 333 days away. You know, just lacking a little bit of match practice is the only thing could find him out. Don't get me wrong, he is the class act in this field and he's got real gears to be a miler.
Dec makes a fair point, but it hasn't put me off the favourite. I'm going with a glass half full approach here, and I think there's not. The trouble is, where can Richard Hannon place this horse for an easy start to the season? There isn't. He is going to have to take on the very best, and as we saw him to good effect taking on the best last year here at Ascot, for me, I am really excited to see him back. And weirdly, it took a little while for me to warm to this horse. For some reason, I think, a little bit unfairly dismissive of his ability. And obviously, we saw what he could do in the Guineas. And then he went and reversed that form. And he's so likeable here. And the market, maybe, Dec, will tell all. We saw it to good effect last week with the Derby trial, didn't we, Kate, when we, as predicted, the horse shortened up and got the win. Rosalian here, what is he, 7-4? The market perhaps will speak volumes, given Dec makes a fair point about the layoff. Interesting booking, obviously, with Ryan on Dancing Gemini. There's so many angles of each of them in. You can make a sort of a discussion point about each one, but I still am putting my colours firmly to the master of the Rosalian ship.
One thing I would say about that is the Richard Hannon team have made a brilliant start to the season. Their horses are healthy, they're fit and they're thriving.
Yeah,
so that's a
he's
massive
nearly a
positive for him.
30% strike rate for the last 2 weeks, so hopefully we feel like all systems go for Rosalian for me.
And Richard Hannon has said this is basically a home game for him as well, isn't it? Like
Mile
just
up
down
the
the road,
road,
really, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he might even have actually gone there for a day out. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I believe I had heard anyway. But yeah, Rosalian for me as well. That I genuinely have no idea what to do with this race. It's a cracker, isn't it? But I just have no idea what to do with it. And I was really trying to take Rosalian on because I kind of thought, right, if I don't know what to do with this race, surely I can find something at a price with some sort of value. And you just go around the houses, don't you? And you start to go through every horse and you just come back and think, why am I complicating this? I'm just going to go back with Rosalian, where, as you say, it took me a little bit of time to warm to him as well. I think I was so keen on him for the 2000 Guineas. And then for him to go and get beaten by Notable Speech, even though there were some unlucky stories in there. But we know Notable Speech came into that race with plenty of conditioning to his name from the all-weather that season, rather than Rosalian went in there fresh, which I feel is going to be a stone that people are going to try and throw at him here. However, as you say, we've got a whole load of other horses that are coming here fresh. Dancing Gemini is not in his hat-trick bid, but Rosalian, it's one apiece, isn't it, between him and Notable Speech now. And I know Notable Speech in the St. James's Palace probably wasn't at his best. It was too bad to be true. However, you can't take that away from Rosalian. I don't think anything was beating him on that day, how game he was. And I'm hoping that he can just pick up from where he left off, because, as you say, you never quite know, especially when they've had quite a serious infection then as well, that you just never quite know. But at 7-4, I'm willing to give him the benefit of a doubt.
But if he's anything like his old man, Blue Point, he's going to get better, isn't he? So
yeah, that's a good
I'm
point.
really excited about him. If my bet doesn't come to fruition, I will 100% be shouting for Rosalian. I do have a soft spot for him. I think he's a proper horse.
Oh, cheers, Dec. You can cheer
There
us
you
home.
go. There you go. I know he's kind of giving and taking with one hand on the other, then, isn't he?
No, I see. I've got my punting cap on one side and my race fan hat side on the other side.
Yeah. Oh my God. Every race fan. If you don't get excited about this year's Lockinge, then you're not
it's a
a
good
race
race.
fan, aren't you?
Is it that good that 7-4 is a bit short? Are you happy with the price?
I'll take the price. I think the market will tell all, Dec. I'd almost rather take 7-4 than see him drift in a weird way and get a bigger price. I almost want to see market signals and shortening.
That's literally what I was going to say, is that I'm not overly enamoured about 7-4, but I prefer that than even drifting. So you can't win. You can't win in this game, can you? But what a Lockinge we have in store. Now, before we sign off with our Newbury action, we are going to take a look at the 3:10, the listed fillies trial stakes for the 3-year-olds over 10 furlongs. And Dec, there's a horse here who's caught your eye.
Yeah, there is a horse here who's caught my eye for the Roger Varian team. Again, I'm clearly hoping the Varian team have a good weekend. She is a daughter of Ulysses, who her dam was a proper 10 furlong horse, and she is a proper 10 furlong horse. And I forgot her name, which isn't great at the moment. So, you know, live TV and all that. It's going to be Protest. Yes, correct. So BetVictor haven't got a market up just yet, but I think one firm, which will remain nameless, have gone up, and she's about 10 or 11 to 1. So I think that's a fair each way bet. The Varian team actually won this a couple of years ago with that good filly Ashada, and I just think her pedigree screams 10 furlongs. How she's hitting the line screams 10 furlongs, and this is her first time going up in trip. She won it on debut at Chelmsford last year, and then she ran in the Montrose behind the filly of Rafe Beckett as well, back to in the Musadora, but found the ground too quick earlier in the week, and I think she also scoped bad. And then she's already had a run in the Conqueror Stakes at Goodwood, but I don't think Goodwood and Newmarket with the undulations are her track. But what I really love about her is how she hits the line. She's screaming for this step up and trip, and I think if Sylvester de Souza can get her into a nice prominent position from a wide stall, she will not be stopping. I think she's a good solid each way bet.
There you go. That's a nice little Brucey bonus for us as well. And yeah, Protest then it is in that 3:10 contest.
Really like her, but forgot her name.
Aidan O'Brien doesn't know the name of hardly any of your 3-year-old colts. He just knows their pedigrees, such as the same as you.
Yeah.
There you go. You and Aidan.
Self and Aidan. Chips off the old block or something like that. Is what they say.
Exactly that.
I think Aidan might be going a bit better in the industry than me, but
for now.
I don't know. We wouldn't like to say, would we? Don't leave that in the comment section below, though. But do let us know your fancies for that 3:10 contest at Newbury. Now, we're going to leave Newbury there. We're going to head stateside. It is the second leg of the American Triple Crown. It is the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes at Pimlico. Comes up at 1 minute past midnight, Saturday night / Sunday morning. And you'll be treated to all of these scenes. Buglers are plenty.
I feel like we've got Tracey's Trends. For the American stuff, I think we need to have a new segment called Tracey's Trips.
Tracey's Travels.
I agree. Tracey's Travels, even better.
I very much agree. Look at the party scenes that are going to be there.
This looks like a bucket list.
Exactly. Send me on location there, please.
What about doing weekend winners from the Preakness next year, Boswell? Will the budgets
back a few winners, Declan, and we might be able to get us
If we couldn't cope with Popworld, then how on earth are we going to cope with the Preakness? Oh, journalism, though, it is who heads away now at 10 to 11, of course, after finishing second in the Kentucky Derby last time out. Now, of course, he is the horse to beat. Clearly, look at his price in this one. However, you're trying to find other horses in behind them, but journalism, he sets definite benchmark in here as a result of his second in the Kentucky Derby. If you remember, when I previewed that race, I was with him in that, and I actually don't think that Sovereignty has probably got the credit he really deserved for his win in the Kentucky Derby. I thought everything went well enough for journalism. You can look at any single horse, given the conditions this day, that could have had something go slightly better for them. But he is a proven horse. And this runner-up effort in the Kentucky Derby would have won a lot of years. Sovereignty, just better on the day. And he is taking on a lot of unproven horses at this level. But as I say, in terms of the actual price, on the quick turnaround, which it is quick enough turnaround, but he's proved himself in sloppy conditions. Again, the conditions haven't been fantastic out at Pimlico this week, so expect something similar enough, I believe, at this point, but 10 to 11. I'm happy to let him win at that, but in terms of exotic bets, we always talk about that for our American betting. Then it's going to be Clever again, where I'm not feeling too clever because they're the top two in the market here. But he's the one at 11 to 2 to use in your underneaths it for the each way play either as well. Now, we're going to look back at him last time out when he won at Oaklawn on the 30th of March. Now, his 101 by a speed figure in the Hot Springs this day is only fourth to journalism's 108 and 2 102s that he's posted but we know how talented this horse has already looked. He is unproven in this, admittedly. And now he has speed to sit either just off the pace on the outside or even to go to the front. He's a son of the 2015 Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh, but he has Galileo breeding on the dam side. Wow. He is bred to get for distance. He's bred to get a sloppy track as well. So Clever again, I would have in the underneath. And the other one would be goal oriented. I would also have in the exotics at 8-1, maybe then for your tri-cast there to finish third. I thought that he is very interesting for, of course, Hall of Famer Bob Baffert in here. Now, of course, it wasn't the original plan to run this horse in this race, but when Rodriguez, he just didn't recover from the foot issue that ruled him out of the Kentucky Derby. So he went to plan B. Now, Goal Oriented has run 91 by his speed figures in both his starts, including a gate-to-wire allowance victory in an allowance race on the Derby card, or the undercard there. So he is really talented, could well be sent to the front from the rail post. And I know he's lacking experience, but with Bob Baffert, you just never know.
Tracy's tri-cast then, there we go.
Tri-cast, there you go. We love alliteration so much in this race. But yeah, journalism though at 10-11, probably the most likely winner, but I would be wary. Clever again.
One thing I must ask you quickly, and ask the viewers as well, which do you think is harder to do, the American Triple Crown or the Triple Crown in Britain? I've had this debate with one of my mates for a long time.
Both very difficult.
That's
a really
very
boring
difficult
answer, isn't it? But
I don't know, because the Triple Crown at the present, of course, it's not the Belmont. The Belmont isn't the Belmont. Of course, we're back in distance then for the Belmont at its current status at Saratoga at present. So probably a bit easier at the minute to win it.
I've always just felt
quick turnaround. I don't know.
The quick turnaround, I think, for horses at this level when you're running big speed figures and having a hard race, I think is really tough. But yeah,
good question though, Rixie. Let us know in the comments section which is the more difficult Triple Crown, the US version or our version. Be interested to hear your thoughts. Right, that is everything from us then in this section. We're going to head over to the sofa to give you our best bets for the weekend. Sam, do you want to go first for once?
Yeah, let's go first, shall we? We'll touch on Eurovision at the end, Cakes. I know you wanted that in the best bet section, but Rosalien for me is going to be the nap. I'm going with a glass half full approach. Appreciate, got to overcome the fact that this is seasonal return, but that's not going to put me off, and I really hope he can stamp his authority and really perhaps elevate his status even more by taking this really good-looking contest, I think it's fair to say, at Newbury on Saturday. Genealogy, the London Gold Cup. This race, make sure, even if you're not having a bet in it, you watch it, because you will see good horses come out of it. I know it's a bit of a cliche and everyone says it's their favourite race of the year on the flat, and it should be, because you just get to find some really nice types. And Genealogy, for me, I think, the better ground is definitely going to help. I think that return to something quicker surface-wise will help. First time in a handicap, Aidan O'Brien's record in the race is pretty decent from a very small sample size, and 3-1 looks fair enough for me. And then Clive Cox, I'm going to rely on to upset an Aidan O'Brien favourite and stop the bandwagon in the 125. I thought that 12-1 is just a little bit big about a filly who is very unexposed. And again, is one that I'm desperate they don't water at Newbury, because the quicker the ground, the better I think it will be for her chances. And I thought she was a cracking each-way bet for a team that always seemed to pop up with a local winner.
Yeah, 12-1 then, so a nice price to go out as well for Hold a Dream. But I'm pleased that you are at least going in with Rosalien, because I was just going to leave Lockinge to one side in terms of my best.
Come on, Kate, let's be confident.
No, I'm too scared of the race. It's so exciting, but I'm so scared of it. Don't know what to properly be going in on. Deck your own best bets.
Yes, the three that I'm going to put up, we have covered in this week's show. I'm going to go with Protest as the nap in the listed fillies race at Newbury tomorrow. Really like her. I think, on pedigree and visuals, to step up to 10 furlongs is exactly what she wants for the Varian and D'Souza team. Roger Varian won this with a really good filly called Ashada a few years ago, so I'm hoping they can go in again. I'm also hoping Roger Varian has a good day, clearly, because I'm with Sadat in the London Gold Cup. Really well bred, a son of Pinatubo, bred to be a stakes horse, really. Lovely run over course and distance last time out. big physical, carries plenty of condition, good mentality. I think he'll take a nice step forward for that race, and a mark of 95 looks fair. And then the long shot, it's not going to be a Roger Varian horse. I'm going to go to Andrew Balding this time, and it's going to be Eden or Aiden in the Sky Sports Racing Aston Park Stakes. I just think his ability, true ability, has been hidden by the fact he's been running on the all-weather. I think it's clearly a surface that doesn't bring out the best in him. A flat track, fast ground suits him, and once upon a time, as we said in the show, he finished 4th in the 2,000 guineas, and I think he'll stay this trip. And if it turns into a sit and sprint kind of race like that, he will have more gears than the stayers in the race like Table Talk and Sunway. So as long as the 8th stay in, I think he's a really good each-way bet as well.
Yeah, and a nice price again then to boot. I'm actually going to go to that race for my nap. I'm going to go with Sunway in the Sky Sports Racing Aston Villa Park Stakes then. So really looking forward to this Group 3 contest. It was a given, wasn't it? Given the fact that Sunway had previously faced some really stiff tasks last season. I know he went winless, but his last 5 runs were all in Group 1 contests. His reappearance start, he just looked like he needed it over this same course and distance he's going to be facing. So at 4-1, I thought Sunway was a decent way to go in that contest. Now I'm going stateside for my next best bet in the form of Clever again in the Preakness at 11-2. As I say, journalism is going to take all the beating here, but he is priced up accordingly. And Clever again, he's unexposed. He's very, very talented though. His bias speed figures, he's got enough to find with journalism from what he's been posting, but he is by the 2015 Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh. And with Galileo breeding on the dam side, he is bred to get the distance and to handle a sloppy track. And Law of Design in the London Gold Cup, because the trends have landed me on him, so I can't resist him at 33-1. As I said previously, I have to practice what I preach. When the trends land me on a horse as the outsider of the field, it always slightly irks me, because I just look at his last 2 runs and he hasn't beaten a horse. So he's got significant questions to have to answer, but he's setting his sights out a bit lower again now, and you just hope that there's still the ability that he looked to have at the start of his career in there, and that connections are going to find the key to him. So 33-1 as the outsider of the field for my long shot. Right, we're done with the horse racing though. We're done with all of that stuff. Group 1s, you can keep all of those. Eurovision we're back to. Sam, who have you got?
The market seems to think Sweden are going to win it again, which, fair enough. Best of luck to them. Austria, very popular pick as well, but my Eurovision tipster, it was pretty good going, usually gets there or thereabouts. He said France were a cracking each way bet, and the price in the last 24 hours has been smashed up. I don't think it's my tenner each way, but 4 places on offer. And if you're having to watch it because the wife or the partner enjoys Eurovision,
you're using it as an excuse.
We have got the lucky dip wheel that you can take a spin at betvictor.com, so go and enjoy that, and at least you'll have something to cheer on for the evening.
Yay! Ireland didn't make it through to the final. They were knocked out of the semi-final.
We'll send Rixie next year,
last
I think.
night. Exactly. You and Dustin the turkey.
I'm pretty sure now there's a lot of these countries not off basically in Eurovision, because nobody wants to cough up the money to host the thing. So if Ireland want me to butcher it, I'll do a Charlie Burns fee on it.
Oh man, I know. And to be fair though, you should not be wanting Sweden to win, because they will then beat you in terms of the winning most country.
That'll keep you awake at night.
Well, that'll keep you.
Linda Martin, I think, previous winner. And did ABBA win the Eurovision?
Yes.
Are they Swedish?
They did. Yeah, they are. Yeah. They did, and they are.
That's all my Eurovision knowledge.
Oh, don't pretend. We'll get you around one day. Austria is my bet, though.
Okay, Austria.
I was with them last year, and they finished last in the final. But this time around, the whole production. He was on The Voice 2020 in the UK. Will.i.am's team. Unbelievable voice. There you go, Dak. There's something to...
That whole reality.
To keep you going till the Preakness.
Cut the show, this is going wrong.
That is us done then on this part of the show. We've got loads to go into now for the remainder. So thank you so much for joining us. Lads, thank you so much for your efforts as per usual. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, and we'll be back at the same time next Friday to preview the pick of the weekend action.